What culture? My name is Simon Jeremy Miller. That's right, big spoiler, big surprise. To start this episode of Ups and Downs, my middle name is Jeremy. And if you want a bit more information, which you don't, someone in the comments already going, the review starts at 1 minute 32. You know who you are. You do it all the time. But yeah, my parents also wanted to call me Jeremy Simon, and they changed their name at the last minute. Don't know why you wanted to know about my name, but now you do. Also want to do a quick shout out, a quick promotion for something that's happening in around about 24 hours time here on WhatCulture Wrestling, and that's because my man, Adam Cleary, he's going to be coming at you with the ups and downs for NXT UK. That debuts tonight here in the UK, in the US, all over the world on the WWE Network. So if you want some ups and downs from that, you can tune in to WhatCulture Wrestling tomorrow at some point, I don't know when, I can't look into the future, and you can see my man Adam up in those downs for WWE NXT UK. But this, today, right now, is all about SmackDown. Let's up those downs. We don't usually mention the intros for shows, but given this was SmackDown 1000, the 1000th episode in SmackDown history, it seems only right to give the intro an up, because it was just a montage of all your favourite clips, and it made me feel all good in my stomach. Can't say much more than that. It was just a lovely walk down memory lane and reminded me how good that giant fist set was. Hashtag bring back the giant fist. Unfortunately, we can't use that hashtag, because if you see it and you don't know what wrestling is, it sounds really dodgy. Hilariously too, the first thing we saw on SmackDown 1000 was R-Truth and Carmella. They're gonna bring us another airing of Truth TV. It was the last thing I expected. Get it up. Truth was quite funny, talking about all the memorable moments he himself had on his television show before Carmella reminded him that no, Truth, that's not true. We only had one and it got cancelled before we were able to do anything. And just as he was about to introduce his first guest, Stephanie McMahon's music hit, and she wandered out to the ring instead. And remember, this is the heel version of Stephanie, much like it's the evolution version of Triple H that we're going to see later. And if you want more on all of that and the bizarre theory I created while I was in the shower, you can watch my latest Why video, or Why video that recently, that's called Why Triple H is the Most Confusing Character on WWE TV. Anyway, given that Steph was the first general manager on SmackDown, she wanted to come out and wave a little flag for the show, but she got interrupted by none other than Shane McMahon. His music hit, he got a massive reaction. So in true traditional fashion, we were kicking off a landmark within WWE with the McMahons, and that's always how it goes, and you can double that, maybe even triple it, given there's now 3 of them, because yes, just as Shane started talking, Vince McMahon's music played, and out came the man himself. It always makes me laugh, because Vince McMahon comes out, all the fans go crazy, even though on the internet everyone's like, boo, Vince McMahon, boo, boo. There was some back and forth between them all, but ultimately Vince was here to remind us that wrestling is all about having fun, and that's why everybody in the ring had a little dance to bring this segment to a close. Now, this was really enjoyable, but I don't want to be that guy that just forgets all the things that are happening behind the scenes in WWE right now, so I'm not. I'm going to remind you, it's actually quite a controversial time for the company at the moment, and I'm not going to say more than that. I just felt morally it was only fair to balance these things out. However, as a start to what SmackDown 1000 should have been, this was pretty good. And then another up because it was the Usos going against the team of Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, and who doesn't want to see that tandem up? They played on the idea that there was friction between the two because they are going to go head to head at the pay-per-view. We're not allowed to talk about location redacted, and eventually that's what tore them apart and meant they lost. Usos took advantage of Daniel Bryan crashing into AJ Styles, because when Daniel Bryan turned around, one of the Usos went to super kick him, he ducked, he hit AJ Styles and said, Daniel Bryan was like, oh, what have I done? And when he turned around, he got double super kicked, 1, 2, 3, Jimmy and Jay win. And that was quite a big win for the Usos, I would say, and a nice little pitter-patter as we do head to the WWE Championship between AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan. A backstage skit with Paige followed, where she was just joined by former SmackDown GMs of the past. So Vicky Guerrero was there, John Laurinaitis was there, who apparently doesn't age, and so was Teddy Long, and this does get it down because it was really awkward and really weird and kind of made me want to die. But back to the ups, because then it was time for Evolution and the returning to WWE TV of Batista, and I love Batista, gets it up. Forget the fact they were never actually on SmackDown, this was just a nice moment for Big Dave to get on the mic, thank the fans, and say he didn't even care when they called him Boo-tista or Blue-tista, he just wanted to go out there and whoop some ass for them. Orton also had a few choice words for everybody else in the stable. He said while Triple H has been off running things and Ric Flair had been living through his daughter, and Dave Batista had been spending too much time in a makeup chair, the Viper had been in WWE, climbing and climbing and climbing to the top. However, that wasn't the idea here, because the idea here was apparently to tease a match between Batista and Triple H, I would guess, at WrestleMania 35. Drax put over the game hard, saying that he had done everything in wrestling apart from beat Dave Batista. And they went nose to nose. The crowd was going crazy. I was going crazy. I was throwing my cushions around. Thankfully, I lived by myself. Otherwise, somebody would have walked in and gone, that guy has a problem. Eventually, they did laugh it off, but soon those smiles vanished and you could feel it. You could feel the friction between the two, and I like that. And if they do go on to have a match, Batista better win. Don't know why. That was just my gut. Just like the man. But yes, decent segment all round this, and it got me excited for the future, and that is what wrestling is meant to do. The Miz then beat Rusev to qualify for the WWE World Cup. Down. Now there's two reasons for this down. The first is, yes, I'm biased. I say that every week. I'm not trying to hide it. I love Rusev and he deserves more than this, but also two, given that later on Shinsuke Nakamura loses to Rey Mysterio, and we'll talk about it, that means the WWE World Cup is now just full of Americans. And as we addressed on Raw a few weeks ago, that is ridiculous. He didn't lose clean because Aiden English ran out there to distract him, but honestly, this match lasted about 45 seconds, and that is pointless. And yeah, English got his afterwards, Lana gave him a low blow, and then Ruru beat him up, so that feud can continue, but surely we could have come up with a better idea than this, other than to job out my beloved hero. It's not just uptime now though, because we're calling in that golden nut, make it go gold, with a big explosion, because Edge, he walked to the ring to host a very special episode of The Cutting Edge, and his guest was Becky Lynch, and all of this was just wonderful, or gold. It's a golden nut. The best part of all of this is, despite WWE's efforts, they simply cannot stop Lynch getting cheered. She was absolutely the babyface from start to finish, as the crowd just roared on their approval. Even here, when Edge said to Becky that he sees a lot of him in herself and that she's fought for everything that she's got, but she needs to worry because she's at a risk of becoming an old lady, looking back on her accomplishments but feeling sad because she's gonna be all alone. The fans still cheered all of that because this is the reverse Roman Reigns, and Becky just put a little cherry on top where she said to Edge, well, you know, Edge, you're right. I don't like myself. I love myself. Why don't you get out of my ring? And when you do that, try not to hurt your neck again. That blew the place up, and I'm not surprised. Becky just doesn't give two shits, and she comes across like a really cool dude. Charlotte eventually arrived and got booed. It's ridiculous. And they got into a massive brawl, and the massive brawl was really good as well. The champ is over. Everybody loves the champ. You may as well change tack now, WWE. You cannot win this war. You just can't, no matter what you think. Although obviously that ain't gonna happen. But still, go watch this. 2 thumbs. A quick comment too in the fact that this is how you use legends. Edge wasn't there to try and get himself over. He was simply existing to use his star power to throw it onto Becky Lynch and the Becky Lynch-Charlotte feud. Round of applause for the Rated R Superstar. I don't know what that is. No one claps like that. There we go, that's better. Normal clap. Then SmackDown got really weird, and I actually understand what the intent was here, but just for this moment, I'm going to put on my critical hat. That's why it gets a down. Basically, we had a tag team championship match between The Bar and The New Day, and somewhat surprisingly, or at least for me, Sheamus and Cesaro actually won, and that would have been fine if it wasn't for a bunch of nonsense around it. For starters, Jerry the King Lawler and Booker T were on The New Day's commentary table, and all of that was really weird and disjointed. It made me feel uncomfortable. And the finish came when the Big Show arrived. He chokeslammed Kofi Kingston through the table for some reason. That distracted Big E. He got smashed with a bro kick. As always, 1, 2, 3 new tag team champs. And I get it too, or at least I think I do. Big Show has turned face or heel on a whim so many times, you'd have to imagine somebody backstage went, you know, what would be funny, you know, we'll get a good prod at the fans if Big Show comes out and he just turns heel for no reason. But here's the thing. WWE, backstage, management, whoever, that ain't funny. It may be fun on the night, but all you did was underline and highlight how stupid some of your creative decisions have been in the past, where you just decided to ignore story and ignore common sense. Also, as a final point, I'm 99% sure we only changed the championships just so we could change some championships on SmackDown 1000. I never liked that. Don't do things just because. Think about it, make it make sense. John Cena then aired a special video saying thanks to the WWE Universe. I personally didn't mind it either way, but that's why I headed to Twitter, I headed to social media, so that you could decide whether it gets an up or whether it gets a down. So here are the results. Thousands of you voted, which did surprise me to be honest, and I liked it, so thank you very much. And while 22% of you wanted to give it an up, unfortunately 78% wanted to give a down. So John Cena on SmackDown, you get a down, and I will say, given the fact they did it as a selfie style promo that WWE loves nowadays, it did make it seem like John Cena couldn't give two craps. One last up for the main event between Shinsuke Nakamura and Rey Mysterio. It's just one of those matches I always wanted to see. Both men are really talented. Both men pulled it out here. It was fun. It was good. Get to them. Not much to say other than they got all their stuff in, and I would like to see a proper feud between these two. And of course, Rey won after the 619 and the springboard splash. However, I am a bit irked because once again, Shinsuke Nakamura, the United States champion, just falls into the background and feels like an afterthought. What are we doing? In fact, it annoyed me so much, down out of nowhere. I totally forgot that The Undertaker had been advertised for SmackDown 1000, and I think before this day started, WWE may have forgotten too, because he came out to end the show and he basically did nothing. So can you believe it? We're even going to end this episode of Ups and Downs with a down. But the bong hit. He took 72 years to walk to the ring, got a microphone, said DX will rest in peace at Crown Jewel. Crown Jewel got booed a little bit, because of course it did. Then he went back up the ramp, and that was that. Alright. And I did see a lot of hate for SmackDown 1000 on Twitter. A few people saying, it didn't really live up to my expectations. But I don't really think that WWE had pimped it up too much. So for me, I thought it was an alright show. More so, because if Batista is going to come back for a match at WrestleMania, I have wanted that for years. I don't know why. I like Big Dave so much, but I do. He just seems like a really nice guy. So that for me, well, it was enough. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about SmackDown 1000. Like, share, and subscribe. Head on over to WhatCulture.com and read yourself some articles. And follow WhatCulture on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. Thank you very much for watching Ups and Downs, and I'll see you again very soon.